to JTOL, Just Thinking Out Loud, where everyday discussion for everyday people are spoken out loud. Now here's your host, Sonia Green.
Well, welcome. What's happening, everybody? What's happening? I probably got too much glare. Let me turn over to the side. So welcome. I'm waiting on my guest to come on. I know he's a busy man. He's a pastor. He's doing a lot of things for the community. And let me shut these blinds because it's too much glare. Yeah. Why are you looking? There we go. It might be too dark now. Here we go. So welcome again. Welcome to JTOL TV, where I am your host, Sonia Green. So we are waiting for our guest, the Reverend Dr. Rev Quentin D. Monroe, who I call a nephew. He's a great man of God. I'm gonna just read to you his bio. Our conversation today, we want to talk about voting. It is very important why we must vote. And I asked him to come on because we needed to have this conversation, if you know what I'm saying. I wanted him to speak to people his age. I wanted him to speak to people who may not be aware of how important it is to vote and why we must vote, and the significant things that are how it filters down when we don't vote. Okay, so I don't know where he's at. It's so funny because I just spoke with him a few minutes ago, and I'm just not quite sure because we're on the same time. So excuse me. So I'm not sure where he is. And but even if he doesn't come on, guess what? The show must go on. Am I right, y'all? The show must go on. So let's just talk about a few things before he comes on out, and just to talk about how important the issues are of today. So we know in 2016 that Trump, he won the electoral college, but he did not win the popular vote. We know down in Alabama, Black women sealed it for Senator Doug Jones. And so the things is just to know that it's very important, whether you're black, white, pink, yellow, why we must vote. That's the only time where we can let our voices be heard. That's the only time where we can let our politicians know that we are not happy with their decisions they're making for us, that we're not happy with the things and with their own ideas because they didn't go to Washington to vote their opinion and their thought. We sent them to Washington to represent us as a whole, if you know what I mean. So if the whole says, when I say the whole, WHOLE says, we don't want alcohols, drugstores, what they call liquor stores in our community, then I expect my senator, my Congress, who represents my district, my area as a whole, to say, okay, we're not going to do that. And so it's so important why we must, let's see, I'm trying to see where he's at. So I'm just trying to understand why. Here he is. Hold on for 1 second. Okay. So Quentin, if you click on that link right there where it says StreamYard, right at the very top, right here, you just click on it and it will allow you in, sir. Let me just send you another invite, just in case y'all bear with me. Here, he's coming on now. So just bear with me 1 second and let me send him this and let's see how that works for him. So if you click on that link, and it should allow you right on in there, and then we can just start the conversation. So we're just waiting on that. So how important it is for us to vote, and how important it is for us to know the issues that we're out here voting for. A lot of times we can see the situation with Breonna Taylor. We can see the situation with George Floyd and Trayvon Martin. We can go on and on. And the reason why a lot of those policemen have gotten away with some of the things that they have the things that they have done is because we have not voted. So let me tell you how voting affects us. So when you vote, that gives you the opportunity to be on the jury you can be a peer for someone's jury. So someone that looks like us, right? Hey, brother, how are you? This is my nephew, Pastor Quentin Monroe. So, so it's important that we go and vote. So once they put you in the pool, so now that those that look like us can be on the jury to say yay or nay, because we will understand the conditions and the situations of our neighborhood. And from there, it just opens up for more and more and more. But if you don't vote, you won't have an opportunity. If you don't speak, your voice won't be heard. I always say, this is my philosophy, and this is what I say. I say your vote is like a piece of stock in a company, and it's up to you to go and vote. So you own a piece of stock, which is the United States, and your vote dictates how that company or that organization will run. So it's important that we must go and vote. So let me just read his bio. I didn't want to read his bio why he wasn't there. So this is the Reverend Dr. Quentin D. Monroe. He's an electrifying, powerful, dynamic, innovative preacher. Let me put him back up here. A preacher of the gospel that has been taking Cincinnati and the region by storm since the age of 16. He must tell you, I've been knowing him longer than that. Reverend Quentin Monroe is the pastor of the historical First Baptist Church of Hazelwood in the Cincinnati's suburb of Blue Ash, Ohio, which I just found out where Blue Ash was last year. Monroe, because all I knew was Cincinnati. All we knew. We only go to certain places. Reverend Monroe is a historical Black college leader, serving as the former Student Government Association president at HBCU, Historical Black Colleges and Universities, Central State University, where he earned his bachelor degree in biology. So that tells you he's no dummy, right? He was also selected as the White House HBCU All-Star during the Obama administration. He was the first student recipient in the history of Central State University to receive the 1890 USDA Land Grant Scholarship Award. During his undergrad years, he was known as a Black college leader and served as a student government president. Now, he'll tell you, I was always time to run for Senate. I'm always writing on this time to run for the representative. He'll tell you. Reverend Monroe is a millennium who is committed to civil rights, social justice, and voting rights, which I really want him to talk to our young people about. Recently, he was recruited by the National Action Network board member, Alicia Reece, and unanimously elected as the next Greater Cincinnati National Action Network president. Reverend Monroe will succeed President Bobby Hilton, who served for 8 years. Reverend Monroe is excited to build on the powerful work of his uncle Bishop Bobby Hilton, who trained him in ministry and is a close advisor. Reverend Monroe, who's also served as the Alicia Reece for Hamilton County Commissioner, Historical Primary during the pandemic, and he served on the National Youth Board, the A. Philip Randolph Institute, and was awarded the Mark Anderson Award by National President Clayton. How do you say that? Clayton?
Yeah, Crayola.
Wow. Reverend Monroe organized a Black Lives Matter march from his church and has been outspoken on justice issues and voting rights issues in the national and local media. So I'm really excited. And then I just want to read this piece right here. Aside from business, working in the community, and preaching, he has been called a bridge over troubled waters in his ability to uplift, encourage, and connect the gap of our lost and troubled youth of today. and fight for those who are oppressed. Standing on the promises of his faith, he continues to use his platform to bring awareness to the importance of voting. At the same time, he helped to lead the protests outside of Walmart at Beaver Creek, Ohio, to protest the unjust killing of John Crawford. And excuse me, if y'all don't know who that is, he'll explain it. In downtown Cincinnati, Ohio, we read about that and we heard about that, to protest the unjust killing of Trayvon Martin. In addition, he also helped organize a Black Lives Matter protest in Blue Ash, Ohio. Can y'all just say welcome to our guest and my nephew? I'm so proud of him, and because we can no longer be quiet. We have to, our voices have to be heard. We don't have to fight to be right, but we can fight to vote. Take your anger, take your feet, and go and vote. Ensure that your family is registered. Ensure that everyone is registered. So I'm gonna turn it over to him. And as I was sharing with our guests, is that we know that President Trump, he did not win the popular vote, but he did win the electoral college vote. So we know that nobody really, you got majority of the country who did not want him as president, and then you have the other people that did. So why is it important that we get out here and vote?
It is so, and thank you so much for allowing me to. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Let me turn my mic down. Go ahead.
Let's see. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on your show. Does it sound okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, and hello to everybody, to all the viewers that are watching. It is so important to vote this year. It's a critical election, a very critical election this year, because we have seen everything that has been going on from the start of police brutality, Trayvon Martin.
Yes.
We see George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the ruling that came out, and people ask the question, why did this happen? How did this happen? And the reason it has happened is because there are people that are in place. They were elected into office that don't represent our interests and don't care. This is the thing, don't care to represent how we feel, what is valuable to us. And so we have people like that Attorney General that do not value what we care about as African Americans. And so we have to vote, because it's time to change these offices, change the people that are in these offices. And people, there was a post today saying, Benjamin Crump, why did he get justice? Why did Benjamin Crump cannot indict an officer? You have to, and I told you, you can't just come out and say things. You got to make sure that you know what you're talking about. And many of us do not understand how the law works. There's rules, okay? We can't just do what we want to do. We have to go by the law. And so because of voting, there are attorney generals, there are prosecutors in our counties that oversee these cases when someone that is unarmed is wrongfully killed at the hands of the police. And what they will do is protect the police and say, oh, we tried to present before grand jury, or we tried, but it's up to them. They get an indictment. They can get an indictment, but they did not want to get an indictment. And so it is very critical that wherever you are, even in Cincinnati, we have a critical election coming up, and where our prosecutor's office, Fanon Rucker, who's African American, is up for election. And so in our county, in Hamilton County, which will be huge if he is the new prosecutor. And so that is one of the major reasons why it's important. Another reason why it's important is because there are college students that are concerned about the burden of debt that keeps accumulating when you are going to. And we want all our young people to go to school. I went to college, thank God I got a scholarship, but college was not cheap. Even with scholarships, I was, thank God family members that help, church members that help, and I was working 2 jobs in college. And so we don't want our young people going through school and graduating with all these tons of debt, trying to pay back loans, and then struggling. They went to get a degree, and then they come out and having a hard time getting a job. Some things have to change. And so there are certain policies that we see in place for those. When you look at Kamala Harris, you look at Biden, you can see they have certain policies for college students to relieve the next generation of that debt, that burden of debt, and even the historically Black colleges that for a while had been cut off from not receiving as much funding as they call it PWI, which stands for predominantly white institution. And so we had to fight here in Ohio for Central State to receive funding. When I was at Central State, there were 2 schools designated as an 1890 land grant school, which were supposed to receive funding. Central State should receive $5 million, and they were supposed to get a match with the federal through Congress, another $5 million. Well, the state budget, the state house, which was majority Republican, they said, we're going to give Ohio State all these millions of dollars. We don't want to give Central State. Central State only asked for like $5 million. Ohio State was getting probably over $100 million. Ohio State said, it's okay. We're a big school. We got money. Give Central State this money. They said, well, it's too late. Come try again next year in the budget. It's a $1 billion budget at the State House in Ohio. Every state has a budget, and we all pay taxes. We all pay into it, but we don't see the funding coming to support those in our communities that need the funding the most. So we were able to work with our state house, and we were able to work out an agreement where Central State will be able to receive funding. And if you look back from 2015 to now, as to what Central State has been able to do. When you go on the campus now, they have brand new dorms that have suites. The suites have their own, every suite has their own kitchen area. Every suite has their own room and bathroom. They have a huge 3-story dorm. They were able to build a brand new student union with a theater on the inside, with a cafe, a restaurant on the bottom level, a full service cafeteria on the mid level. And so these things are important because you want to say, we see people going to PWI and say, I don't want to go to HBCU because it doesn't look like a PWI. It may not look like it because many times we don't receive as much of the funding as we should.
Yes.
The HBCUs should receive the same amount of funding that the PWIs, predominantly white institutions, receive. And so now Central State, they're building. They bought up all the land around there. They're building up everything. So they have taken off because they were able to receive that additional $10 million a year to help support the institution. But we are in an important time, as we have seen the March on Washington, and I was at the March on Washington with the families of the movement, the family of Breonna Taylor, I met them, the family of George Floyd, I met them, the family of Trayvon Martin's mother, I was there with her, and it seems like nothing has changed. It seems like nothing has changed, and it is time for a change. We're fed up. Now, we have protested, and the protesting is important. I protested. I'll march. I'll protest in a minute. I'll get out in the street. I'm not scared to protest. I've raised up in the movement. I protest at any time. I've been protesting since I was 16. But there are also some other things that we have to do. We have to also protest through voting. Okay.
Yes.
We don't
Can I just stop you right there? I just wanted to say something before we jump into that. How important it is. We're looking at the White House and always say, look, it's just like water going down the hill. It takes time for the snowball to get real big before it gets downhill, and we're downhill. But the most important factor is that we must know our local politicians and know our local issues. That's the thing that affects you quickly. For he's in Ohio State and boo to OSU because I'm a U of M grad, but anyway, just to say, just as we know here, and I'm sure in every county, every state, and every city, it's important, whether it's in the city or if in the state level, that we know what we're voting for. We just can't say, oh, I don't feel like going and I don't want to vote. And then here go again. Remember, every city, every county, and every state has an attorney general, right? Mm-hmm. And so each attorney general, whether for us is Kim Worthy, I don't know, I'm not sure who it is for your county, but that person makes a determine whether they're going to prosecute you or not, and how far to go, whether they're going to prosecute the offender or not. So it's incumbent upon you to go and vote. Now, I want to say back during I think it was 2018. No, let me see. It's 2018. What was on the ballot was the marijuana. So all the young folks wanted to go out and vote for marijuana. But you forgot about the other system. They forgot about if you get caught 3 times smoking marijuana, it is considered a felony. If you get a felony, guess what happened? You don't have any rights. You become a number. You become a slave. Literally, what is the 13th Amendment? So you forget about that. All you saw was, well, man, I could smoke weed out in the open. So, but because some of us didn't go and vote, because some of us did not share the history and the understanding of how it's so important that we vote our local and state officials in that can shift how states run. So go ahead, can you speak to that?
Yes, we don't want to just vote at the top. It's important to vote all the way down to your local official. You should know who's on your city councils. You should know who's in your prosecutor's office. You should know even your judges. The judge seat is just as important. We see more intense and higher level of sentencing for African Americans than we do for our counterparts. That again is injustice. And so we're not saying special treatment, but we are saying we want to be treated the same way you treat JoJo and all of them. We want to be treated the same way. We shouldn't have 2 separate justice systems where we have an African American coming in for one offense and they get 15 years, and then we got someone else that's not African American come in for that same offense and they walk out with probation. Something is wrong. We have to make sure that the system gets together. This system comes together. And so it's important. The judge seats are very important. They're just as important as the prosecutor seats, because the judges determine if our children are going to be rehabilitated. They determine the sentencing, if they're going to have a fair trial. Everyone still does not get a fair trial like they should get. And a lot of people, they try to have people take these plea deals. That a lot of people that have been innocent over the years have taken plea deals, and they didn't commit the crime. I'm like, oh my goodness, they see all these innocent people coming out of prison that have been in prison for 30 years and 40 years and 50 years. It's ridiculous. And so we need, in this time, to vote all the way down the ballot. It's important. Everyone that's running for office, you must make sure that they represent what you want to see happen in your community. And some people say, well, change is not going to happen. Change can happen if it's the right person in place. Change can happen because I've seen it. Change can happen, but we have to elect the right people and put them in the right positions so a change can take place. If the same people are in those offices for the past 10, 15, 20 years doing same old, and they don't care about African-American issues, then nothing is going to change. They're going to go about their daily lives the same as it has been. But I'm here to announce to everybody, a change has come. We are fed up. We are tired of seeing these same predicaments happen. We're tired of our African-American people being down, being choked, knee in the neck. I mean, all this stuff is just crazy. It is crazy. Get your knee off. Oh, yeah, I like that. I like get your knee off my neck. And so I'm going to make sure that we round up everybody. Tell your cousins, tell your nieces, nephews, those that are going to be 18 soon by election day. They must be registered to vote. You can protest, but the protest has to connect to the process. And we want to connect the protest to the process of voting so we can see real change happen in our lives in today in 2020. It is time for a change.
So this is what, one of the things that really concerned me is that, and here, I was guilty, but because we're not taught the importance of how to vote and what each politician represent, and to our voices and our power is in a ballot box or in a pen or whatever, however you voted, whether it be mail-in or those type of things. And so I can remember when I was younger, I didn't care about who voted. I didn't care because I felt it didn't affect me because we weren't taught, again, the importance of it. And so when I did realize it, then I really put my foot in it. And sometimes we have to say, listen, we can't be afraid to speak truth to power. We cannot be afraid, to talk about the issues. You may not agree with it, and it's okay. You may not like the politician that I like. It's okay. But we still have to be able to go out there and vote. And what I want to say to the young folk, the millennials is that, you can't just blow by it. You just can't say it's not going to affect me. I promise you it will affect you, because we have judges in place now that the decisions where you can't just vote them out. They were seated in that place by the Senate. And so now, listen, can I just share something? Not only do they are seated in place as permanent positions by the Senate, but it's also in the state house as well. So these senators also put them in judicial seats in your local state house. So it's very important that you get out there and you make the determination, because we keep saying, oh, it's racism, oh, they putting us in jail. But if you are not going out there and voting and letting your voice be heard by the ballot, guess what? You're going to continue to get those plea deals, even if you didn't commit it. Because I've heard them, they'll say, oh, well, listen, you're going to get 30 years, but if you plead, you could take 3 years, but you didn't commit the crime. You know what I'm saying? So we have to use something that they've been stopping us to do. Look, can I just share this? I know, listen, if black votes weren't that important, they would not be trying to do so much to suppress the votes. Hear what I'm saying? If our voices, or our piece of stock was not that important, they wouldn't be doing everything in their power to suppress our voice as well as our vote. Am I right about it? Go ahead.
True. The post office we have seen take the past couple of months, removing post office boxes. The election is coming up, and you are removing post office boxes at a time in which most people are utilizing the mail even more because of COVID-19. A lot of people are more, a lot of people are mailing stuff more, a lot of people are ordering online more, shopping online, and a lot of people will have to use their absentee ballot to vote because of COVID-19. They may not feel comfortable going inside an actual Board of Election facility. And so we see them removing votes. And so I'm grateful that one of our partner organizations, the Urban League, along with some others, actually sued the post office. They got a stay right now, so they had to stop the moving of things up until the election. They're still in court over that. But it's a shame that we have to sue people to say, stop moving our post office boxes. I mean, it's just crazy. Why? The election is coming up, and you are trying to create more hurdles, make it difficult. And you want to come and say, oh, the mail is backed up. So if the mail didn't get here on time, then we're not going to be able to count your vote because the mail got backed up. And at 7:30 on this date, we are stopping election. That's what a lot of them are saying. In Ohio, that's what they're saying here in Ohio. At 7:30 p.m., the election is when the election is over. 7:30 p.m. So we're looking at now. So if somebody's in line after 7:30, are they going to allow them to vote? These are the things. This is why we have partner with the Urban League. We have lawyers. We have a hotline here to make sure that everyone is able to vote, because this is going to be a fight. We're going to have to fight to make sure that everybody, if they're in line up at 7:30, they can vote. We got to fight to make sure that if the post office messed up and didn't get something there on time, that they count the vote. We got to fight that if the post office didn't correctly postmark or stamp with the correct barcode before it got to the Board of Elections, can they still count your vote? We got to make sure that people sign their ballots correctly. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. We have to educate everybody to say, okay, in those places where it says put your social security, or those places where it says signature, put a signature. If it says print, print. I mean, these things are important because in Ohio, over 10% in the primary, 10% of the votes were thrown out because people filled out forms incorrectly, or because something with the post office didn't work out correctly. And so we got to make sure that no vote is left out. We want everyone in our communities, everyone from our churches, everyone to be able to make sure that they fill out these voter registration forms correctly, they fill out these absentee ballot forms correctly, because the vote is very important. It is critical. This is a critical time. This is going to determine how our grandparents get treated in facilities,
Yes.
how our grandparents are able afford medication. I mean, it's going to affect everything. It's going to in our states, the pensions are at stake. In
Yes.
Ohio, pensions are at stake. You know, you have parents that have worked all their life, and now they don't know if their pensions are going to be intact. They don't know if they even going to have health insurance after they retire, or the health insurance is too expensive. There is a lot of things at stake. College students still, like I said, have graduating in tons of debt. That should not be the case. And so it's time for some turnaround. It's time for some change. And so we must ensure that we do not allow these little tricks to happen in our communities. We got to fight back. It's going to be a fight. And I'm here to tell you that I'm not scared to fight back. We're going to fight back. If we're going to have lawyers. We're going to have people on the ground to make sure that no one is going to be prevented from voting. We're going to have people on the ground to make sure that nobody's vote is going to be thrown out. We have people on the ground that's going to make sure people are going to be educated on how to fill out the form correctly. And we're going to make sure that they are able to vote. So our seniors, very important that our seniors are able to vote. With COVID-19, we have to make sure that if you know a senior, check on them, call them. Are you registered? Did you fill out your absentee ballot? We want to make sure that our seniors are not left out of this election. We want to make sure that our college students are not left out. They can vote absentee, are not left out of this election. We want to make sure that people in Ohio and all over, that if you have a felony and you're not in prison, that you can still vote. And so we have some work to do. We have some important things to do. Not only all of those things, but when it comes to voting on the local level here in Hamilton County, Cincinnati, and it's going over all over, is we need to put more funding in mental health and our mental facilities. We have the money to do it, but we have not put the money where it should be. We have not built the facilities that we ought to build. And so as a result, we have many people going to prison and in jail week after week after week. But it's not that they're committing crime, it's that they have a mental health issue. All they need to be checked out and have medical care, proper medical treatment and rehabilitation. And so we have people that have mental health issues that are being recycled in and out of the jails, especially in the wintertime. They may not have a place to stay. And our homeless population, we have to put the funding where it should be. We have to have more affordable housing. What we have seen here, you may see it where you are, is that we're going into our African-American neighborhoods, tearing them down, throwing people out, and then we're rebuilding the inner city neighborhoods, making them very nice, and going to put a price tag of $2 million on a condo so those African Americans cannot live in those communities. That's what we're saying. We're seeing African Americans being pushed out, saying, "Oh, we need to develop this. We want to make it nicer." Why can't you have affordable housing? You can have nice housing that is affordable. Every property, every nice piece of real estate does not have to be $2 million. Does not have to be $500,000 just to have a nice community. And so that we're watching everything. everything has just been happening, and we have to monitor. And I'm sure you have been monitoring there the things that are happening, and we have to hold the people that are in office accountable. We have to,
Yes.
if they have been in office for the past 4 years, 6 years, 3 years, and you have not seen change, why should you be in office for another 3 years, 4 years, 6 years? We must hold our elected officials accountable. And that's another thing that we have not done properly, but now we have been doing it. And so this is why you see there's been a fighting of the voting and messing with the post office, because now we're holding. They know we're gonna hold this election. We are gonna hold our elected officials accountable. And so you're gonna see a lot of different tricks trying to be played, a lot of different lies put out there, trying to trip people up. But we have to stay focused. We have to stay focused. Say, hey, nobody is going to not be able to vote. If you need to register, we will help you get registered. If you want to do absentee, we will help you do absentee. And even in Ohio, it's important. Now, if you're going to vote in person, vote in person. If you're going to vote absentee, vote absentee. Because if you fill out an absentee ballot and go to the Board of Elections and say you want to vote in person, then your vote will be known as provisional, a provisional vote. And a provisional vote may not be counted. Okay. And so we got to make that clear. We want every
Yes.
vote to be counted. We don't want your vote to be provisional. Going to vote in person, stick to it. Vote in. You're going to vote absentee, stick to it by absentee. And we have to make sure, because we want to make sure that every vote is counted. So it's very important. So I'm excited. It's a lot at stake. And so we're here for it.
So we're going to take just a minute break, and then I want to talk to you about BLM. I want to talk to you about a couple more subjects, and we just got much. I was only going to hold you for an hour, and so I just really want folks to realize that it's not about your life. It's not about my life. It's about all of our lives. We are responsible. Listen, the choices we make today will affect the decisions on tomorrow. So we have to get out and vote. We'll be right back after this station break. All right. Just to give us a minute off of that. So what I wanted to talk to you about, because I noticed that even one of the things that those that oppose voting or try to what they say decrease our voting or stop us from going to vote are those that have been trying to reshape the Black Lives Matter movement. So they've been trying to associate Black Lives Matter, the organization, with people just saying, I'm Black and I'm marching. It's a movement. And so, and in shaping that, so, us believers, they've been putting out, they believe in witchcraft, they conjure up the dead, they believe in LGBTQ communities, they believe in abortions. And I have said this, I said, well, the people that own Chase Banks are Muslims, right? The Saudis, they Muslim, but you're not stopping putting your money in there, am I right? So I said, the people at Kentucky Fried Chicken, you don't know who they are, but it's not going to stop you from eating Kentucky Fried Chicken. And what has happened is that these organizations tend to play on our faith and our beliefs and say, well, well, we're not going to be, we're not going to support that. Well, most people are not supporting Black Lives Matter, the organization. They're supporting just Black Lives Matter, my life matter because I'm Black, and so forth. And so what we've been seeing is this strong push out here, and especially with all of these Russian trolls and all of this false information that's being released and targeted toward people of color to either cause them not to go and vote or to vote in a different way. Now, let me just make this clear. I'm not saying you have to vote Democrat. Can I just say this? Most people of color are very conservative, but because of the Republican Party and the things that they do to people of color, and I'm not saying the Democratic Party is all like a breakfast at Tiffany, but what I am saying is that I'm not going to vote for you, and you still saying to me, we going to hang you after you vote, and when I can see it, right? And so I just want you to talk to that. See, can you just shed some light on that for us?
Yes, the Black Lives Matter, and to make sure that we don't do the Black Lives just a sound.
You like you're going out. Can you turn him? I think.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have to make sure that we don't reduce Black Lives Matter to just a soundbite.
Yes.
Just a story. Oh, it's just an organization. Black Lives Matter is not just an organization. It's not just a soundbite, but Black Lives Matter represents every African American, every Black life, and those that are not African American or Black, but care about African Americans and Black people. And so that's why you have seen more people marching that have been Caucasian, Hispanic, all nationalities, all over the world. People have been marching for Black lives. And so they don't like to see that unity. It's been unity. People have come together from all different walks of life, all different shades, to stand up and say enough is enough, that racism, people are scared to talk about racism, that racism is wrong. And people are calling it out. You got young babies. It's so terrible now that you got young kids that really should be enjoying life. They're even now talking about what has been going on. I mean, you got 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds. They know what's been going on. They're killing us. Why are they killing us on the TV? Our young people are now even voicing their opinion. And so this is important. This is for our babies. This is for our young kids. They shouldn't have to see all this that has been going on the news. They shouldn't have to really experience all this that's going on, but they've seen it. And so we must make sure that we let people know that Black Lives Matter means that it stands for supporting Black lives and stopping what we have seen, the police brutality going on in the land for so long. Enough is enough. And we really don't see too many indictments. We really don't see people going to prison. And you even have it on camera. We have these instances on camera with video phones, smartphones. Imagine if we didn't have smartphones, what the story would be.
Yes.
If we didn't have smartphones, they would say, "Oh, he attacked me. He grabbed my gun. He didn't grab nothing. You had your knee on him." It's so crazy, And even with video footage, people still, officers still lie and say something happened that didn't happen, and the video reveals something else. And so, Black Lives Matter is not just an organization. Black Lives Matter is not just a soundbite. A lot of politicians will try to put it as a soundbite. Black Lives Matter is this. No. Black Lives Matter means that you are standing up to say, I'm tired of seeing racism. I'm tired of police brutality. I'm tired of seeing these African American men and women being killed at the hands of police, and unarmed. It's just wrong. It has to stop. And I'm grateful for Black Lives Matter. I'm grateful for the Black Lives Matter movement. It is what I tell people. We're living now in the second phase of the civil rights movement. Whether people,
Yes.
people say I wasn't around when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was there. I wasn't around. I missed the civil rights and this. Well, now we're in the second phase of civil rights. Okay, the first phase of civil rights is where we had to fight just to have an equal say, an equal, just to have to fight to have the right to vote. We had to fight to use the water fountain. We had to fight just to stay at the same hotel. Well, now we can do that. But now the second phase is, are the laws being carried out justly for African Americans as it is for the rest of the nation? So this is the
Absolutely.
second phase of the civil rights movement. Now we can vote. Now we can stay at the hotels. We can go buy a car and things like that. But now we need to look at this justice system. Is this justice system being handled correctly? Is it being handled for all people correctly? We really have to lock into this second phase of the civil rights movement to make sure that we finish out. So that's what I tell people. We're living, we're seeing, we've seen the marches, we've seen the speeches, we've seen the killings going on. We are
Absolutely.
living in phase of the civil rights movement, and we need everybody to stand up. Everybody to stand up. No, may have missed when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, but now it is your turn to give your speech at the ballot
Yes.
box. It's your turn to give your speech, and so I'm asking everyone to support and let your voice be heard as you go and vote this year.
Speaking of, Reverend Martin Luther King, we all, they listen. I just want to make this one statement. They will not tell me who the leader of the Black community will be. They will not make that decision for us. And that's what bothers me, because they tried to say, well, this person is going to be the leader, or that person is going to be the leader. They will not make that determination for us as a people of color. But talking about as a leader, we want to talk about good trouble. John Lewis, which was a great man, a great example of stand. I think he was fighting at 14, standing his ground, protesting, concerned about his fellow American, concerned about just having equal rights. Listen, we want the same things. Like you said, we want to own, a house, a car, 2.5 kids. I don't want a dog, but those that want dogs, we want to be able to take vacations. We want to live a peaceful life. According to the Bible, Jesus says what? All men should live. You should live all live peacefully with all men, and yet we tend not to do that. So can you tell us a little bit, what's your thoughts on John Lewis? Didn't you have an opportunity to meet him?
Yes. On a couple of occasions I had the opportunity to meet him, and somebody commented they made money locking up our Black brothers and sisters. Now they're making money locking up immigrants. Yes, and that's a great comment. And even as you mentioned, Ms. Sonia, the marijuana issue. Okay, they wanted to lock up everybody for marijuana, but then they said, "Oh, we can make some money off of this marijuana."
Yes.
So legalize it. In Ohio, there was a ballot issue, and then I'm gonna go back to Congressman John Lewis. Nick Lachey, the singer from 98 Degrees, and others, they wanted to put a monopoly on the marijuana facilities in Ohio. They wanted the people in the last election. They got it to the ballot in Cincinnati and in all over Ohio. They paid all this money to say legalize marijuana. But when you read the fine print, it wasn't just legalize marijuana in Ohio. It was legalize it, and us and our little crew are the only ones that can sell it in Ohio. It was a monopoly. And so the people voted it down. Say, why would we make it legal? So only you all, the rich, only y'all can make the money off the marijuana. That was wrong. And so now in Ohio, they have facilities where different people can sell it and things like that for medicinal purposes and things like that. But that's some of the things we deal with. Congressman John Lewis, a great man. And when I was in his presence, he just had, he just anointed by God. He was very humble. He was so humble. I spent the day with him on a Sunday. He came to Cincinnati, and he went to tour different churches, and during election time, and then another previous election, I believe when Obama was running, he came to Cincinnati. And then when I traveled to Washington, D.C., I interned in D.C. when I was in college for some time, and I was able to see him along with other Congressman John Conyers, other members of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and others, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. I've been able to be around all of them. And what I will say is that they are, you got to be anointed by God to deal with some of the mess that they deal with on a daily basis up in Washington. I mean, you really have to be anointed by God to really, for God not only to, people don't understand that everyone tries to get to a place, but it is God who allows us to get there. You know, the congressional seats, those are high level races, expensive, very expensive races, and so for those African Americans to be in those places is very important, and I honor them for that. He was so humble. I actually, the first time I saw him was when I was 16. I was A. Philip Randolph Institute had a conference where they paid for young people. They trained you on civil rights and the importance of voting and all of that. That's how I got my start. A. Philip Randolph Institute. They flew me to Arizona at the age of 16. First time flying by myself, and I got on the flight and went to Arizona, and Congressman John Lewis was being honored. He released a book then, and he signed it, and I have that book. But he fought a good fight. He was anointed by God. He got in good trouble. I like to get in good trouble. From when I was 16 on, every time we go to the protest, I said, "Oh, I'm about to get arrested today. I'm about to get." I said, "You don't get it. You got school this week. You better. I'm gonna get arrested, Mama. I don't care if you ever get arrested." You know. But he stood for so much. He stood for freedom. He stood for opportunity. He stood for peace. He stood for many of the great qualities that we want to see in America. And that's why he fought. He fought up until his last breath. He fought until his last breath for the people of the United States of America. He fought for our children to have a bright future. I mean, he was beaten, hit in the head. I mean, he meant so much. And so I am just grateful to have had the opportunity just to even be in his presence of a historical legend that walked with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that walked with many with A. Philip Randolph, that he spoke at the March on Washington. Yeah, he spoke, and he was a very young person to speak on Washington. That was huge. And great man, and I continue to pray for his family and his staff. They took care of him. Oh my goodness, they loved him. I mean, they really took care of him. He had a great staff. I met many of his staff members and know them. But Congressman John Lewis, there are people that the Lord allows to come our way that can never be imitated. People can imitate this, but there will never ever be another Congressman John Lewis. Never. There will never be another Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There will never. God anoints these people for a purpose, for a timing, for a season. And Congressman John Lewis served the Lord. He served his purpose. He made sure that he honored God, and he made sure that he honored the people. And so, again, I am just humbled to even have the opportunity to even have been around, to even be in his presence.
Okay, so I got you for about 5 more minutes because I'm going to keep you for an hour. So I'm going to shoot you out a few questions, and then you just tell me your thoughts. What do you think about Kamala Harris and the Joe Biden ticket?
Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, historic ticket?
Yes.
My personal opinion. You trying to get me in trouble today?
No, I'm just asking. A very
historical ticket.
Yes.
love the ticket. What I will say is that the Biden team and Kamala Harris team have to put some more work in, and that's just on the that's just my political hat talking, okay? But I believe that it's a very historical ticket. I believe that they're a great team, and I would love to see Biden and Kamala Harris be in office. I would love to see it. I do support them, and so I mean I'm on their team. I'm on their team.
I agree with you. I think they need to put some more work in, and I am on their team as well. What do you think? Who do you believe will be the swing vote? How do you think, as you know, down in Alabama, the black women, what will you think will be the swing vote? Because we do realize that black folks cannot vote a politician in, but we can push that politician to win.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your thoughts on that?
I believe that this is going to come down to women and African Americans. When I say women, I mean not only African American women, but Caucasian women. I believe that it's going to come down to that. I believe that the women have a lot of power, that the women will have a lot of power in this election if they come together and vote. And of course, African Americans, like you said, if they come together and vote. But also, we have registered new people that have never voted before, young people and older people. Today we were able to register someone that has not voted in over 50 years but said they're going to vote in the election. Okay, so I believe that the swing vote is going to come down to new voters, the millennials, the African Americans, the women. So it's going to be important that we get all of them to come together to go to the polls. But it's been a year of like I said, the year of the woman.
So what do you think of our swing states? I think Michigan, Ohio, I think Florida is one. I think Georgia, if they get out to vote, will be one. I'm praying that Lindsey Graham would lose, and because I don't care for him, not because I don't care for him I don't care for him. It's not that I don't like the man. I just don't think his politics are good for this country, nor in Mitch McConnell. I had to pray and ask God to help me not to hate him. So he did. I just don't like him because I don't think he's good for this country. And I'm not saying that any of them are perfect, but some of the things he's done. So what do you think our swing states will be?
Yeah, I looked at the last map comparing and I was looking at the map of Hillary and how she lost versus what they're projecting this time around. Ohio is going to be very important. Ohio is going to be a very important swing state. I am praying that Ohio will be not Republican as it was in the last election. And I am praying for Florida. Florida is always important as well. Of course, they always project Florida, to lean towards going Republican. But I think that we have the ability, if we come out to change everything. When the Obama election, he was able to change a lot of those swing states that were always Republican. And so we had that opportunity to do it again. And so, I just encourage everyone to not doubt yourself, not have any doubt or say you can't do or it's not going to happen or no change is ever going to happen. We cannot walk with our heads down. We cannot walk, feeling down and out, but we need to be excited for this election. We need to have energy. Yes, hope. Yeah, Texas blue. Yes, Texas very important. Texas is very important, and so I pray that we'll be able to flip a lot of these swing states. Mitch McConnell, I've been ready for Mitch McConnell to go.
Man,
yeah.
it's the devil in the red dress. So I just one more thing I just want to say. How important is the black vote? How crucial is it?
The black vote is very, many times the black vote is what can tip an election in a certain way. When Obama ran, it came down to the black vote that President Obama get in office. It came down to the black vote because the grandmama went and got a grandson and got the nieces, The grandma went and got everybody out to vote. Said, I don't care what you're doing. Oh, you gonna vote today? When mama and grandma say vote, everybody gonna vote, and that's what happened. And that's what we need to happen. And so, so the black vote is important. That's why you see Trump has released the plans, and he's going after the black vote, and Republicans are going to go after the black vote, and all of that. You're going to see different things, and so I would tell people, vote. Tapes have been released. Tapes have been released that Trump has said he knew about the COVID-19 but didn't want it to downplay it and all of that. Over 200,000 people have now passed away. We can't play with people's lives. We really can't play with people's lives. Too many people have lost loved ones. I've lost a cousin to COVID-19. And, we cannot play. Many people have lost parents. COVID-19 is wreaking havoc in our nursing homes. It's going through the nursing homes. Is wreaking havoc. And people are, it's a very deadly virus. There's nothing to play with. People think it's over, it's gone. No, people are still getting COVID-19. You may not see it, but COVID-19 is still prevalent. This is nothing to play with. And so we really want people in office that will put the people first. It's not about what you think, or if you don't want to cover up this or whatever, but we have to protect the people. We want as many people to live healthy lives as possible. And so it's very important. This black vote is going to be crucial. So we're asking all the African-American churches to come out for Souls to the Polls, asking all the HBCU students to come out, all the fraternities, all the sororities. We want everybody to come out to make sure that the vote is counted.
Yes, and that's everybody. So can you just everybody? Let's put it in the urban street. Everybody. Everybody. Get your children acclimated to voting and how important it is. Explain to them why they must vote. And I'm gonna let you go, but I said I was going to continue to do it. I was posting information. I call it American history, about all the massacres that happened toward Black people. And every one of those massacres, Black people weren't doing anything. They was just trying to live their life. And so it's so important that you must vote. So these kind of things will not happen. So I want you to realize that American history is Black history. Mm-hmm. American history is Black history. Yes. And so you must know your history so you will not repeat it. They will not be able to run game on you. I call our president the 3-card Molly professional dealer. You think you winning, you think you got it. And then before you know it, you done lost all your money in that game. So Pastor Quentin Monroe, I just want you to tell the people how they can get in contact with you, if they need to holler at you or speak with you.
Yes, they can feel free to email me. It is my first name, Quentin, my middle initial, which is D as in Daniel, Quentin D, and then my last name, Monroe, Monroe @gmail.com. Quentin D Monroe @gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook, Quentin Monroe. Look me up. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I need to get back on Twitter and Snapchat and all that, but I'm on Facebook. Is my main avenue. I'm on Facebook right now. I'm not on TikTok yet. I downloaded it, but I ain't on it yet. People love TikTok. All my friends.
I don't get it, but
I'm not on it yet. But again, if anyone wants to reach me or contact me, feel free. But again, and I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Listen, it was such a pleasure. I really wanted the young folks to know that voting is not an old thing. It's not something that you have to, you don't do till you get older. Because if you don't make the decision today to vote, tomorrow you will be older. And guess what? That decision, because you didn't go vote the day before, now it's tomorrow. And listen, they're trying to cut Social Security. They're trying to privatize Social Security and eliminate it if they could. They're trying to cut our 401k plans. They're trying to extend the age before you can receive full retirement. They're trying to right in court today I think it's in the Supreme Court, where they are trying to cut Obama, or I don't want to call it Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And with the age of COVID, we cannot afford that. So we have to be wise about what we do, y'all. We can't just blow this off. And, I know we believe in God, but I love what Fannie Lou Hamer said. You can pray all you want, but until you get those feet, those hands, and those arms moving, you just are praying somebody, because it's not going to make a difference. So thank you again for rocking with us on JTOL TV. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, and I'm looking forward to getting my look when you get up there, so I can get my what you call that, my all access pass.
Right.
So I can come and hear some of these conversations, because we have to make a difference. We are our brother's keepers. I refuse to let the village die. And so the village has to, it doesn't matter until someone raises up someone else in the village. We cannot be quiet. We have to continue to ring the bell. So thank you so much. Bless you. And I'll be hollering at you. Where my shirt? You've been rocking my shirt I sent you?
Yes, I got it. I got so many. I'm rocking them shirts every week. So I thank you. I thank you so much for the shirt you sent me. But when you wear these shirts, I got to clean them and all that.
There's so many wash machines. Damn, you guys
right?
like.
I thank you. And the last point I want to make is to the young people is I am a business owner. Most people don't know. I don't say too much because of the climate we live in. I'm 29. I'm a successful business owner, and I have employees, and I have a Black-owned business, and it hurts me that, and I spend thousands of dollars every month in business, and it hurts me that I cannot recycle my Black dollar in the
Wow.
Black community.
Wow.
We trained our young people on how to go to college, and I love college, and I'm going to tell you to get your education. But we also need to train our young people that are coming up on how to have businesses, how we can keep the dollars in our communities. I spent a bunch of money on fuel. We don't have that many African-American owned gas stations today. I spend money on insurance. We don't have that many African-American insurance in the field that I am. And I mean, I spend well over at least four to $6,000 a month just in expenses. And I'm like, wow, I would love to spend these dollars in the African-American community. And so after this voting takes place, our African Americans in the communities need to come together and see how to help people be successful business owners, owners, and make sure that their businesses thrive. And that also is important in the vote, because grants come by way of those elected officials. There are grants for African American small businesses and small business owners, and helping those businesses get started. And so, oh, somebody got my email. Yes, feel free to contact me at any time. But yes, so that's another thing that I'm pushing the African American. I'm pushing our young people to the limit. If you want to own a business, start a business, you can start a business. If you want to go to college, be a doctor, you can do it. If you want to be a pastor, you can do it. If you want to be a politician in office, you can do it. Whatever it is that God has placed in your life and anointed you to do, I'm here to rock with you, to tell you you can do it. There is no limit in God. There is nothing too hard for God to do in your life. And so I just say that. And so again, thank you for the opportunity. And I'm sure you have me back to talk about those Black businesses, because we didn't even hit that, but that's an important topic. And the reason I said that is because you talked about these massacres, Black Wall Street. The people successful had a street set up, businesses set up. We need more African American owned hotels. We need more African American owned restaurants. We need, and I support all restaurants. I'm not racist. I love Outback. Outback is one of my favorites. I can go to Outback 2-3 times a week, get their chicken wings and steak and all of that. But I want to make sure that when I spend my dollars, that I'm supporting some African Americans, some people that are raising up in business.
Yeah, I just want to say that is a good conversation because what I started, that commercial you saw was my business, Liberty Dallas. So
Good.
that's we're doing tops, blouses for women, and then we're getting to some other lines and different things. And then I have called the Blessing Project, where we're that should be up in a couple of weeks, where we will be paying off student loans. So,
Wow.
so what we're going to try to do is garner money. And why I say that, and I can't be selective, but what I will say, what I would like to say is like from our debt to ratio, we go to college,
Mm-hmm.
so we can make money.
Right.
But we borrow from college puts us, even though we're making the money, but because of the debt ratio, we're still considered just above poverty or right at poverty,
Yes.
even though we may be making 100,000, even though we may be making $75,000 a year, all because of a student loan.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I want to try and do is go out and solicit donations so that we can pay off student loans. And what I mean by that, I want to pay off women's student loans who are, and that's where most of the weight is at, where, can't afford a house, they can't afford a car, and get that and pay that off for them. And so that's something we're still working on the language for it, but those are a couple of things that we're trying to do. Because so maybe we can do that, get a couple of people on there and talk about that, because it's so important right now. Matter of fact, to me, this is the greatest time to start a business, right?
Yeah,
You're at home.
yes.
This is one of the most fabulous times. Every creative idea and every thought. Listen, try it now. Can't hurt, all it fail, right? If it don't fail, try the next one, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much. I'm so proud of you again. And I really, really, she says, we've got the Breakfast Club here in Houston. You're in Houston. So you should.
Good.
Yes. Is that your business?
I go to Houston. Yeah, let me write that down. I'm going to check them out.
Carlo. Hey, darling. I know who that is. Yes.
Okay. When I'm in Houston, I'm coming there. Yeah.
You did it. Yay. I know what you're talking about. This is an awesome woman. This is an awesome woman of God. We've been talking about that for years. So, let me see what yes, paying off women's student loans would be a huge blessing. Yes, Renita, yes. So that's something we're working on. When I get back home, I'm almost done with the language. And then from there, we already got the 501(c) and everything. I'm just tightening up that language, and then we're going to get out here and start soliciting. So I appreciate you guys so much. I thank y'all for rocking with us on JTOL TV. I just want to remember who this man of God is. And not only that, he's a voice. Even though he's in Ohio, we have great leaders here in Michigan as well. And I started to tap Cunningham. I started to tap a lot of people, but you know what? I just wanted to just see if people were interested and because we have to be the change that we're looking for. I think somebody knows that, right? We have to be that. And we always say we always have to be the solution and never be the problem. So find yourself to be a solutioner, a problem solver. Okay, so thank you all for rocking with us on JTOL TV, where I am your host, Sonia Green. Listen, I always say, be the light in darkness, be the voice that needs to be heard, be the solution and never be the problem, and always be the change. Never the one that stops change from moving. Thank you again for rocking with us on JTOL TV, where I am your host, Sonia Green. Have an awesome day, and thank you again. Thank you for my awesome guest, Pastor Quentin Monroe, which I know that's my nephew, and I'm so proud of him. Look, he's going to be doing great things. I want you to remember his face, because listen, he lives in Ohio, but he will be in DC one day. You know that you'll have a voice. You'll have a friend that you can reach out to. If he can't help you, he'll send you where you need to go. So you all be blessed, be encouraged. Thank y'all for rocking with us. Good night.